perhaps I can tell you that the property of the Marcoses has been brought into a blind trust. And not a 2020 blind trust either. It's a real blind trust. And we don't know exactly how that blind trust operates the property. The only property that we have control of are two or three houses, one in the province of Ilocos Norte, no, two in the province of Leyte, and one in Manila, 5. Then the schooling for the children, up to possibly a doctorate. Beyond that, all income goes into the Marcos Foundation, which is the foundation that embraces all property. Do you think that if there was any corruption by the Marcos family, that we can maintain the present prestige and leadership of the Marcoses in the Philippines? What do you think the Filipinos are? They are a very literate people. Literacy in the Philippines has increased up to 90% nationwide, and in Manila it is 100% literacy. And if there was any indication whatsoever of any of these corruption that you talk about, and whoever said that sounds like he has been in the wrong company. Probably the guys that he was working with may have been engaged in corruption. I'd like to know who they are. Then we'll go after them. But I can assure you, if any public official engages in corruption, he will land in jail. That is definite.
The World Bank and its sister organization, the International Monetary Fund, are very special organizations. They are sitting on top of the world's wealth, which was put into a secret account, and it has more gold than anybody knows about. And it is cloaked in secrecy. The bankers do not own that money. It's held in benefit for humanity. The World Bank and the IMF are listed on a special agreement that was signed in 1950 about that. Assets, it's gold. It's more gold than people know about. It's over 1 million metric tons of gold. And the World Bank and the IMF have a special role to play, making sure that that money is spent to the benefit of humanity.
So where's the gold? Some people believe that the gold in Fort Knox has disappeared. That's been in question for many years. Congressmen have attempted to get an audit of the gold in Fort Knox. So 1 million metric tons of gold is not something you can just hide. Where would you say that that gold is being stored?
400,000 metric tons are in the Central Bank of the Philippines. There's over 200,000 metric tons in Union Bank of Switzerland. And some of that gold is buried securely in the Philippines as well. Some of it is held in various banks, but the bulk of it is in the Philippines.
So the World Bank holds the note on that gold?
No. It is in a special trust account that was set up by Ferdinand Marcos, and the authorized signatory is a German banker lawyer by the name of Wolfgang Struck, who also lives in the Philippines.
So how do the people get the gold back? If it's their gold and it was taken by these bankers, how do we receive it?
That is the question. And they're just sitting there illegally and refusing to relinquish it. Part of the problem is that this gold is cloaked in secrecy. But in the last month, Wolfgang Struck has been publishing all of the documentation. So it's there for people to see. We have the originals. And people just have to make sure that the banks do what they're required to do, which is release the world's wealth.
Dito sa gym sa likod ng bahay nakatago, ang mga dokumentong nagpapatunay raw na not guilty ang pamilyang Marcos tungkol sa questionableng mga kayamanan.
You're entering the documents of the trial of the century.
Oh.
Here. 170 banks that Marcos deposited money on. Just to show you the bill of lading. How much is
$240 million. Oh my goodness. Is it million, billion?
Billion.
Billion? 240 billion?
Only one shipment. And these are plenty of shipments.
Mrs. Marcos, if we go by all of these, you are rich beyond compare.
No, this will save the world.
The world.
The world.
This
This is the reason why I want to survive. And it's not for me anymore.
So, Mrs. Marcos, are you saying you're open to giving some or an amount of this one to the country, to the Filipinos?
Not only the Philippines, but the world.
But the most urgent reason I was looking forward to my coming to this hearing of the Philippine Senate is to seek your help, honorable senators, to help me implement the last will and testament of the late President Marcos to enlist assets in the hands of trustees, to implement the Marcos Humanitarian Foundation so that we can help the country in our economic crisis and help the Filipino people in their agony and suffering.
Of course, did you have an interview with Christine Herrera of the Daily Inquirer?
Your Honor, the truth is that I never gave interviews.
Among the names that you mentioned in this interview was the name of Lucio Tan. Is that
Again, I would like to invoke my right to remain silent.
Would you kindly explain why your silence should be invoked on this questioning? First,
Because of
the name of Duavit. We are only interested what is the first name of this Duavit that you mentioned. I don't think that will in any way incriminate you, Mrs. Marcos.
I think I better obey the orders of my counsel to invoke my right to remain silent. Because of the many cases, the hundreds of cases that I have in Sandigan Bayan and elsewhere.
What about the name of Eduardo Cojuangco?
The same right, Your Honor. Someone who has so much, who had gone through so much. I knew that he was pretty rich, and that is why I was telling him, why are you in politics with all this wealth that you have? Early on, almost on day one, I knew he had more money than people thought, than I expected that he had.
Yes. And